Chapter 39, Final Chapter. It is women, not men, that keep women safe. Farida D. As I was rolling a cigarette in the van about to drive to the motel, a shirtless, gromity-looking grub was leaning on the veranda of a block of flats right in front of the van. He was, without a doubt, watching me. Full and obvious cockatoo he was. As I drove off, he went inside, no doubt to tell the other kidnapping fuckheads that I was on the move. I was so glad that we were going to pack up and leave the motel and this fucking town as soon as we got back. Mum would blow a night of paid for motel, but she didn't care. We were going to make Kempsey tonight. Everything was fine at Kempsey. We bought truckee burgers for tea. The motel was nice and there were other people there who seemed fine. I slept late and was cranky when I got up, but that's how it is going to be, I figured. I did all the driving. I got pretty argumentative at times with my mother. I put on the audiobook I bought that awful time at the servo near Beachtown, filled with disgusting tradies. A Margaret Atwood book. I so wished it was Handmaid's Tale. It was written in a really weird style. I couldn't get into it. Next night was Glasshouse Mountains, a little village called Biawa. We didn't book a motel, just showed up. It was nice too. My mother was really adamant that she'd dine out. It's her favourite thing. She likes being served by waiters and she criticises the food. It's never a good time anyway. I tried to protest, saying I'm really agoraphobic and going to a pub, they were the only restaurants around, would not be good. She said we could sit away from people, all these things to convince me. I eventually gave in. Things started okay. We sat up at the public bar waiting for the bistro to open so my mum could drink an extra glass of wine. We were the early birds to the meal. There were the usual young tradie fuckheads about. I tried not to look at them. I went out to the van to grab a coat because I was cold. There were about 5 males outside on the veranda. A couple of young generic Skippy incels and a couple of old Skippy piss wrecks. This town was all white and boring, being on the outskirts of shitty Brisbane. They were watching me as I clambered out the back of the van. As I crossed the road, I heard one of the skip cells bark like a dog. This was for me. I heard the other one make a suction noise, which I took to be the sound my vagina makes or something. Fuck, they'd studied the videos very hard. I wasn't even aware my vag made that sound while fucking. Because unlike those fuckheads, I was too busy fucking to care what it sounded like. Later I wondered if this was from the ER rape. Maybe they'd used so much lube that it was literally noisy with suction. This crowd of skip cells were too dumb to know that. I remember one of the security guard rapists say something like, "There's 10 boxes." That would have been about condoms. Oh, aren't they so responsible? No DNA either. So they were effectively mocking me being raped. I didn't look at their faces, so there was the possibility that I'd imagined it. I held my head up high and put a knowing look on my face. I was knowing that they were losers. As I walked past the piss wrecks who hadn't participated, I visibly shuddered and said, yuck. I should have walked through the skip cells and done that to them. They wouldn't have liked it. When I got back to my mother's table, I tried to hold it together. She started in on picking the meal apart and it sent me crazy. I got upset. I didn't care if anyone around us could hear. I told her that I heard some male say disgusting things about me. She tried to comfort me, but she had no idea. I wolfed down my food. She asked if I liked it and I said that I couldn't taste anything because I was not travelling well. The reason this unseated me so much was because I thought that had all stopped in the hospital. I thought that I wouldn't hear things anymore. I was wrong, or I'd definitely been tracked, and every incomplete chromosome of a male was going to let me know. I insisted we walk out through the males because I knew they wouldn't do that with my mother present. She didn't want to, but I had to prove it to myself. I got my recorder up on my phone in case they did say something, so I had proof. As it happened, they'd come inside and were sitting among a circle jerk of other skip cells, all minding their business and not even looking my way as I passed. Taping them was useless. I put this out of my mind when I got back and I decided to ring my younger brother, Robert. I wondered why he hadn't bothered to ring me and I wanted to gauge his attitude towards me. Everyone was a suspect. He was good, very quiet. I did all the talking and he didn't have much to say. That was pretty usual. He was so reserved with me anyway. This was more so because I was now mental. I figured he had enough mental in his life with his wife. That's another story. I got up later in the night and went outside to smoke a cigarette. I loved the quietness of the night. It was my favourite time. A car went past on the road and beeped its horn. Oh, fuck, that was for me. They were pinging my location in the motel. Fuck. I think I had a very bad night's sleep. Traffic the next day, so much traffic. That's this Sunshine Coast area though. Quickly filling up with skippy tradies called Hayden, Jaden, Braden and Matt, and their missus called Taylor, Madison, Bree, and who named the kids fashionable names that really date and show which decade they were born in. It's my version of hell, these areas. And it's a fucking crime because the nature is so beautiful. We were leaving. Good. Next night was Rockhampton. We really made good time. We rolled up to this motel too and got a great room, very big. My mother walked to the pub next door, had a wine on her own. This is why she is so very pushy about dining out. She physically needs the wine. Buying a bottle and carrying it with us would be too alky for her, or some rubbish. She made a bit of a song and dance about going over. Then when she got back with the food she made, another song and dance about the food and the room. There is only so many times I can agree with her that the food is good and the room is good. And she's so head up, such a high level of energy is put into her display of neediness and discomfort in her surroundings, in her own skin. Eventually I lost it. It was bound to happen. I forgot what started it, something that I'd done in my life and my mother had never acknowledged, because it interfered with her own achievements probably. My mother had to suck all the praise out of the hopeless males in my family. Anyway, I kicked off. The fight was all about how I'm just not a part of the family and no one likes me or wants to be around me. Usually my mother turns this kind of thing into her problem. She has it worse than I do, yada yada. This time she did that, but she unwittingly played into my hands and I was very relieved about what she said next. She was really upset, crying in fact. And she said that Stuart and Robert never call her. They only call her when they needed something. Babysitting in Robert's case and probably money in Stuart's case. She was careful not to say that though. So my brothers held her at arm's length too. I was happy about this as I felt that those six were their own little tight-knit group and I was on the outer. That was a big part of my depression all my life. It's not nice to be the black sheep. I didn't even want to be the black sheep. I really tried to be close to these people, but they just didn't like me. I was glad to hear that my brothers let my mother down, even if it wasn't true. I'm sure they contacted her way more than I did and were ever so loyal, as those dumb suckers are. The fact that nothing they did was good enough for my mother meant that I wasn't the scapegoated one. Well, at least at the moment. We hugged and I apologised and said I'd try not to go off like that ever again, and I meant it. She'd given me great ammo. I said that if I start to argue with her, tell me that we sorted it all out in the Glen Oaks Motel in Rockhampton, and there was nothing more to be said. I meant that too. I really felt better. My stress was because I'd driven all day, was tired and recovering from that fucking awful night in Beerwah. It's amazing though, I do bounce back pretty quick. The reason is I'll never have to set foot in Beerwah ever again, and those fucking losers will never get a chance to be in the same vicinity as me ever again also. They are wage slaves who have to stay in their miserable jobs, in their miserable lives, while I live in a tropical paradise and don't have to work. I'm luckier than most. The next day while driving, I did something weird. I made sure that I didn't look at oncoming cars. In fact, I went out of my way to look over to my left at the horizon so the zombies knew that I didn't even rate them worth looking at. This was because I was looking straight at a girl driving a camper van. She put her hand up to the windscreen as she passed. I took this as a thank you for the money she just made off me. That worried me, of course. No looking at people from now on, only people behind counters and servos. They never acted weird. I guess they were working so they couldn't. We got home in the daylight that evening. My father was very happy to see me. We had leftover rissoles and Dad had prepared veggies for us. My mother paid out on him behind his back about what he'd probably prepared for us. Typical. He did a nice thing for us and she had to cut him down. This trip was really wigging my mother out. This kind of thing really wore me down. How in the fuck was her life so hard? All she had to do was sit in the passenger seat. I had to do all the driving while battling hallucinations and head med side effects. She's too much, and I was so nervous about how we were going to go living together. Despite this next set of troubles, I was so very happy to sleep in the spare room that I always slept in when I stayed. I was relieved to be home.